Welcome everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Jeannie Ortiz, and I'm the Pro Bono and Strategic Initiatives Manager at Pro Bono Net. For those who are not familiar with Pro Bono Net, we are a national nonprofit organization based in New York City, and our mission is to support access to justice efforts by building and developing digital tools and mobilizing justice networks across the country, including in New York. Just a few housekeeping items before we begin. All attendees are in listen-only mode, but we do encourage you to share your comments or questions via the chat box. You can see a sample screenshot on the screen. We'll do our best to answer questions throughout the webinar, but we will also allot a portion of the webinar at the end for questions and answers. This webinar is being recorded, and we'll be posting a recording to probono.net/ny/family. So if you want to access that, please be sure to check back on that website. And we will also include a link to this site in a follow-up email that all attendees will be receiving tomorrow. We have also attached 2 documents for today's webinar, which you can download by clicking on the handouts section that you see on your screen. The first one is the Advocate User Guide for this program, which was created by the New York State Office of the Court Administration. And the second handout is a copy of this slide deck with several screenshots of what we will cover in today's live demonstration of the program. And finally, we have a 2-question post-webinar survey that's optional to complete once we finish, but we, of course, welcome your feedback and questions to improve future programming. This webinar is co-hosted by the New York State Office of the Court Administration and Pro Bono Net, so I am pleased to introduce today's speakers. Lisa C. Smith, who is the Chief Counsel of the Family and Gender Violence Office of Policy and Planning at the New York State Office of Court Administration. Amelia Lepore, Universal Case Management System, Family Court Project Manager of the Division of Technology at the Office of the Court Administration. And my colleague, Claudia Johnson, who is the Program Manager for Law Help Interactive, a program of Pro Bono Net. So we have, for today's training, we have court-approved advocates joining us today, as well as new organizations that are interested in learning about how this program works. So we will provide an introduction to the program, walk everyone through how the program works for users, including the registration process, and we'll do a live demonstration of the online form. And then towards the end, we will go over any questions from attendees. For those who don't know about this program, the New York Family Offense Petition Program is a free and interactive document assembly tool for advocates and legal service providers to quickly and easily create court papers required to request a temporary order of protection. And this program is led by the New York State Unified Court System in partnership with Pro Bono Net. I'll actually turn it over to Lisa. Lisa, would you like to provide more background on the court's work on this program, how advocate organizations that are interested in using the program can seek approval from the court, and what that process looks like?
Yes, and thank you. So good afternoon and welcome, everyone. I'm sorry my camera isn't working, so I apologize in advance for that. I am part of the New York State Office of Court Administration Division of Policy and Planning, which is led by Deputy Administrative Judge Edwina Mendelson. And I want to especially thank my colleague Amelia Lepore from our Division of Technology, who has been instrumental in ensuring that this project works, and of course our partners, Jeannie Ortiz and Claudia Johnson. The New York Family Offense Petition Program allows trained advocates to assist domestic violence survivors to create a family offense petition from a remote location. Previously, the survivor had to go in person to the local family court to fill out the petition. This also then allows you to ask for a remote ex parte hearing in family court, at which time the judge will hear the evidence and hopefully issue a full or limited order of protection. There are now about 220 advocacy organizations approved to use this program, and it is available in all 62 counties. It has been especially important, of course, during COVID, but it was in use and conceived several years ago for survivors who were physically challenged or in rural locations where transportation was an issue or had childcare problems, etc., and so for whom a trip to family court was problematic. We, of course, never imagined COVID at the time, but now, of course, this program is even more important. Now, the remote petition guide handout is very important, and I know all of you will get a copy of it. I encourage you to read through it. You will see on page 2 that step-by-step instructions for starting this are provided. And the first step it talks about is telling you to contact or communicate with your local family court. So there is a list of contacts at the local family court so that you have somebody that you know you can contact if there's a problem, and you can let them know that you're planning to participate in the program. And the second thing you have to do is have your agency added to the program. You have to be approved. So on page 2, it gives you the exact instructions on how to be approved for the program. Once you are approved, your agency will need to be trained, and you will again see on page 2 that we have an email address provided there that will alert me to the fact that you are now an approved agency, and I will coordinate the training for you. And now I'm going to hand it back to Jeannie. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Lisa. And just a reminder to everyone that the user guide that Lisa just mentioned is attached to the handout section that you see on your screen. All right, so
the link to the family court contacts is also going to be provided, right?
Yes, and I can share that via the chat as well.
Great, thank you.
All right, so I am going to just walk everyone through what it looks like once your organization has been approved by the courts. And this is what we call the sign-up process for advocates. So the first step is to join this family justice domestic violence practice area by going to probono.net/ny/family. This website is free to join and is an online resource to support New York advocates working on cases in the area of family law and domestic violence. So to join, the first step is to click on this teal Join Us button that you see at the top, or you can also click on the Family Offense Petition Program tab that you see on your screen here. And either of these will then prompt you to a page so you can fill out a form. And I'm just going to show you what that looks like by using a fake email address. And once you do that, you'll see these fields that you must complete, which is helpful for our staff to review so we know who's requesting to join the website. The sections with the asterisks are required, and then the rest of the fields are optional. Under the employer section, we do ask that you enter the full title of your organization so that we can compare it to the list of court-approved organizations. That'll let our team know that your organization has been approved by the court to use this program and that you should be granted permission as an advocate to use the program. For the area-specific questions, you can either skip it or complete it. These are questions that we ask so we can get a better understanding of who's joining this online practice area. And then the same applies to the preferences section, where you can opt in to receive a calendar email with trainings related to family advocacy in New York City. After you complete all that, please make sure that you check this box for verification and then click on the button that says finished. And after that, you will receive a confirmation email saying that our staff has received your membership request and that someone from our team will then review your request and approve your access to the website. And if you don't immediately receive that email, please make sure you check your spam or junk folder. After that, once you've been approved, you will receive another confirmation email saying that you've been granted full access to the website. And once you receive that confirmation email, you'll be able to navigate to the page again, click on Login, and then navigate to this website using the same URL. It's also included in the email. You can click on the Family Offense Petition Program tab here, and here's where you'll be able to start using the program. And you'll see a summary of the program along with court contacts, including Lisa and Amelia's email if you have any questions for them. And then after that, you'll be able to go to the Family Offense Petition Advocate Program link, which is here, and then start completing the form. And I will turn it over to my colleague, Claudia, so she can walk us through what that looks like. And Claudia, I'll share, give presenter controls over to you.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So let me move my,
There we go.
thank you, okay. So there's two levels of sign up that you're going to have to do to use this program. The first one is the one that Jeannie just showed, where you're getting access to all the information related to the program and access to the list of court contracts and the manual and everything else. And that's in the probono.net page. Once you click on the link to come to the interview, you're gonna come and you're gonna see something like this. If you don't have an account in Law Help Interactive, which is a platform that's independent from the Pro Bono Net page, this is a platform that is a form engine that is used in New York and in 40 other states with many courts. And our business is to create forms, fast, secure, and reliable, 24/7. So when you come to Law Help Interactive, you're in a different stack, in a different technology. So you still will need to create an account here. And if you're a new organization and you have never used LHI, you're going to need to request access to an organization so that then you can create your account and tie it to your organization. But let's assume for now that the organization, we have it, that like Lisa says, there's 220 or so New York organizations using this, and we can easily add you. And so when you come in, you're gonna see something like this because this petition is not open to the public. We require for folks to get an account, and we want them to have an advocate account, which in LHI, an advocate account doesn't necessarily require a practice. In fact, in this petition, it's used by all sorts of other professionals in all sorts of different contexts, so it doesn't have to be a lawyer. So to create an account as a professional, you come here, you would click professional, and you would come in here and you would create your account, and you will select an advocate account. You will select New York State here, and then you will put your organization. So if I put advocate, it's gonna ask you for organization. And so you have to put your organization. And if you don't find the organization, you can contact us through support and we will quickly add it. It doesn't take more than a day to add the organization. So the first thing we're gonna do is ask you, hey, did you get approval from your court? Have you been in touch with Lisa? And do you have access to the Pro Bono Net page? Because if you haven't done that, That's how you're gonna find the link to the interview. So those are the first two things. Just follow the manual, read page 2. So let's assume that you already have your organization, you create your account, etc., and you come here and now you're gonna start working with the interview. So this is my account that I used to show this. So I'm gonna log in, and I'm sorry. I'm gonna log in. It didn't take, so let me just do it again. Okay. Okay, so I'm in. And so you're going to see, I'm sorry, I think you're seeing my double screen. It's gonna tell you where you are, where the interview can be used, when it was last updated, and who owns it. So then you know you're in the right place. If you're coming new and you don't have save answers, you're just gonna press continue and you will start using the interview. In this case, because I don't wanna have to populate everything for purposes of the demo, and also because this petition may be one where you come back and continue in more than one sitting, because you may need to get additional information if you're not ready to complete, or you may wanna come and review. You probably will come and be working with saved answers. So because I'm already logged in and I had saved answers, here you can see that's me. I see my saved answers here. So to start working with the saved answers, I just go here. If I'm coming new and I want to create a new petition, I would just click continue. So I'm gonna go and look at my answers because I forgot something about firearms, and there were some other things I didn't get to do with the person that I was helping in the first sitting. So when you come in here, it's pretty much, it takes you through an interview, and here you see an outline. And then here at the bottom, this is really important. These are how you move back and forth in the petition, in the interview. We really don't recommend using these back arrows, because that may ruin what you're doing. So always make sure, because you may be on a mobile, make sure that you scroll down and that you can see your navigation buttons. So you start working for your interview and it already has pull downs. I picked the Bronx here. And then, depending on what county I picked, the list of urbanizations changes. So you don't have to worry about, it's gonna be, the logic is working on the back end depending on what county you're in. These are the organizations that we have. So I'm gonna go back to the Bronx here because that's what I had picked originally. And so I start working, and it's pulled down a lot of buttons, and then it asks you, okay, what do you want to create? And depending on the logic, the interview will be changing depending on what the choices you're making. Anything that is red is a require answer. So you have to make sure that you use it, because otherwise the document won't create. So that's how you know it's a require answer. So I am going to keep things simple and move through, and it asks you questions. So I'm navigating with the buttons. As I navigate, and I will show you. Right now I'm reviewing. There's nothing here in this page I want to change, but I want to show you the part that I want to edit, which is my theoretical gun question. It asks pending questions. If you click yes, it gives you red language, it means this is required. If I pick no, the question is not asked. So the logic is guiding you. So it's pretty safety that you're not going to miss something because it won't let you. So once you get to the offenses committed, you click what you want. You get an open text box here where you can detail what you want to put in. And you know that you're moving along the path because you're looking at the outline here. And here, I wanted to show you a little bit more on this. So for example, I did it the first time. I didn't realize there were guns in the home or that the respondent had the guns. And now I talked to the person I'm helping and oh, wow, there are. So when I come back and edit, as I open and edit, you know, I start getting questions on that. And depending on what I pick, the interview starts expanding because now it's relevant. And one thing that I wanted to show you is that as you look at this, you will see that the required questions are because the outline will expand and not respondents with firearm, and it will have a little red asterisk. And so you will know that now you have to answer this. So, you know, you check those boxes and you continue. And so you just continue to next, you know, and here it's telling me, oh, you have not answered one of the questions on firearms. So I'm missing something. So that's, you know, has the respondent put a gun? So yes, has the respondent describe? And so here I'm missing. You know, and so now that I filed that required, so it's got a lot of logic, and you will know as you move along where you are because the outline. So if you were to come back, you don't, and you know, I just gotta do the firearms and the firearm outline is already there. You can just jump and come right to that place where you want to go, and you don't have to move through the whole thing. So that helps you save time and save the time of the person you're helping. And so then once you get to the end, you get to the finish. It gives you a warning. You know, it tells you what you need to do to download. And so once you go to finish here, the finish button showed up. Now it's processing and putting the data together with the interview. We never save documents here. We only save your answers encrypted. So once we have created the document, you will come up to this page, which is giving you some instructions. And it's telling me important your answers have not been saved. So we recommend that you save. And I will show you how to save in the interview. So just do that. So while you're in the interview, you will see this little icon here, which if you are a child of the 80s or late 90s, you will remember the flip disks. It looks like a little floppy disk. So when you click here, you save. And that's how you can save as you're going along because this system doesn't save as you go. This is not Google. You have to save to keep your answers. So my recommendation is to save as you go and then to save before you get to finish. So you save, then you go to finish. And then let me just get there before. I can download the petition. I can edit the answers, which is what I clicked before. I can save my answers here. So I'm gonna save them here so that, and I'm gonna change the name. Save that. I can save it as saved answers or save them as new. I'm going to save them as new so that I'll have 2 answers that's now on this account. And when I save, I get the message that my answers are saved. So I know that I have saved the answers. And saving is really important if you're gonna need to come and edit. You can email the forms to an advocate or a family member, etc. Or you can e-file your form. So this is what you click once you're ready to e-file. One thing that is very important is never to go back with the browser because you could end up ruining your work. We always recommend that you move with the navigations that are provided for you. And right now, this is the navigation options that you have. So if you want to go back and edit, you edit. If you want to download, you download. When I click download, I pull the document, and this is what opens, which is basically pre-formatted instructions and the document. But let me show you. Word. The best way to use this interview is if you have Microsoft Word on your device. If you're on a cell phone, you need to make sure, or a tablet, that you have some sort of word processing, because otherwise you may end up getting something that's completely misformatted. I don't think you can get free Microsoft on a tablet. I know that you can get it on a cell phone. So you pull this petition with the instructions, and by the way, everything here is customized to the Bronx, right? Because I picked the Bronx. It's putting here the address and the phone number for the county and the court that I picked. So you don't have to worry about that. And then it gives the clerk a little note telling them that this interview has been created with this and who the parties are. And then it creates the statutorily required pleading that is filling out based on what I entered. If my neighbor goes and does something else, it's gonna be according to their facts. So one interview can support as many facts, and it's all different per the facts of the case. Everything that I enter will be here, and then you can save it. Be careful if you're saving on a local drive. You may, if it's a public computer, you may not want to do that. And you probably have your own protocol. So let's just get out of here. And then, once you've reviewed it and you've seen that it's good and you're happy with it, you could come back and edit and keep doing this until you're good. Once you know that you're good with it, you click the e-filing button. And at this point, we're going to ask you permission to let you know that at this point you are sending this outside of our system to our partner, the courts, right? Because everything has been with us. Now we're sending it out to the courts. And so we are giving you some instructions here. And then we're also letting you know that we are going to send it out, and you're consenting to us sending this to the courts. And then when you do that, we click the e-file button here, which I don't want to do because I have it's not a real petition, and I don't want to cause the hassle of that. When I click the e-file button, what happens is it takes the data that we have and it sends it directly to the court case management system, and it tags it for the Bronx. So it's a data to data transmission, secure transmission between the two systems, and then it goes there. And so that's basically how it works. If you don't wanna, let's say, oh no, I forgot to put something, or I forget about another address where I want to be protected, or I didn't ask to be protected in my address or at work, you can go back, press cancel, never the back arrow, and you go back to edit your answers. And you can go back and change that part where you wanted to put that note.
Claudia, this is Lisa. Can you go back to the first page and now pretend that the petitioner does need a remote hearing, and go to that section and show what will come up if you check that?
Okay, let me go. Petitioner information. Request. Okay, so you have the request for interpreter, which is a very nice thing that you get to do. And contact information, address,
I think it might be even before that.
introduction. Maybe I skipped through. Yeah, let me scroll. Would you like, okay. Would you like to generate an affidavit in support of insured family? Is the petition elder?
Right. And so you want to say yes there.
Telephone by hardship. Okay. And so it seems like it gave me more prompts. Yeah, it gave me more mandatory prompts. So I put here first choice. So you put your time, hours, and minutes. And then you pick AM. And then you pick the date. So let's say I'm available on the 23rd. And then the second choice, it would be 2 p.m. Actually,
And thanks for everyone who's submitting questions. We're monitoring
petitioner
them.
is homebound. Is there anyone here that you want to pick for any of these, Lisa? Petition and can appear by
Check
phone.
the petitioner's homebound and
Okay. And so here. So you get to choose where you pick it up, the
right. So if
temporary order.
that family court will scan the temporary order protection to the filing
Yeah.
agency.
Okay, with respect to the service of the temporary order, the sheriff. And then this would be the name of the person that's helping, which may be probably you or somebody in your staff. And you know, and these may be in case they cannot reach the person that did it, they may reach you.
We have a question. Is the petition electronically signed by the petitioner?
No, I don't think that
Yes,
this
wait.
has a.
So this is, so that's why I wanted them to do the remote, Claudia, to go to the remote hearing. So we have actually addressed this in the guide also, but the way it works is this. If a remote hearing is being requested, the petitioner is prompted at the end of the interview to check that they understand the petition is signed under penalty of perjury. It's an affirmation. Okay, so it's just a check off. By checking the box, the petitioner provides that affirmation to the petition and it substitutes for the actual petition signature, because obviously if you're doing a remote petition and requesting a remote hearing, most of you do not have any way of getting an actual signature from the petitioner. So at the remote hearing, the judge can then swear in the petitioner, obviously, and they can ask them to affirm the substance of the petition. So since the petitions are going to be filed electronically, it is important that the petitioners verify their identity and swear to the allegations on the court record. But the judge can do that at that first ex parte temporary order protection request appearance. And if you look at the like I said, at the guide, there's even we have a little section in the guide that shows you what the affirmation actually looks like. Now, some people are just using this petition and filing it, but they're not necessarily requesting a remote hearing for one reason or another, and that is perfectly okay. So when you're not requesting it, the advocate will proceed by clicking to finish, and it will produce a document that the litigant can sign. It can actually sign. So that's the difference, okay? If the litigant is going to get the papers and actually go to court, then they can sign the papers just as they traditionally would have. But if the litigant isn't going to do that, then they can just check the affirmation and that substitutes for the signature. Now, I know that some courts have had an issue with this. We did send a memo around to everybody at OCA explaining this. So if you have an issue, you're going to have to let me know. But that is the way this works. Now, if you do not request a remote hearing the way Claudia did not in the beginning, that affirmation will not pop up in your petition. So if you don't request a remote hearing, it will have to be signed. If you do request the remote hearing, the affirmation will pop up in this petition program. Amelia, do you have anything you want to add to that?
No, that's great. Thank you, Lisa. And then just, I guess I would say on the court side, what happens then is the clerk would be able to get your answer set with all the data elements that you entered on the petition. That helps them with the data entry side of things. They don't have to retype everything that you've just submitted to us. So it saves a lot of time on that end, but they're also getting the PDF of the petition, which will either have the signature line for the litigant to fill out if they're not submitting this for an immediate remote appearance, or we'll have the petition that has that affirmation on it. So the court will see either way, whether you've done the affirmation for the remote appearance or if the litigant is going to come to court at a later time with their signed copy of the form.
In the guide, we also mentioned that it's a good idea to either call the court or email them, depending on what that particular court prefers, to let them know that you're going to be requesting a remote hearing. Now, of course, during COVID, this is all a little bit different, but theoretically, we like to give the court a little bit of, a little bit of a heads up that a request for a remote petition hearing is coming up, just for organization purposes.
Great, thanks.
Any other questions while we're still in the interview?
Yes. So, Claudia, would you be able to go back to the respondents section?
Yeah.
We have a question here. There isn't a spot for the respondent's phone number. Can that be modified?
So for that one, we can definitely bring that up. What we'd have to do for modifications is we'd have to add it to the interview, but then also add it to our XML answer set that we receive electronically. So the best way to handle that right now until we do that additional work would probably be to enter that into the narrative field, and that way the court would get it on the PDF of the petition itself, and they'd be able to access that information there. But we'll definitely put that on our list of requested enhancements. So next time we do make some changes to the process, we could add that to our list to address.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks, Amelia.
Anything else in this interview?
Yes, we have a few other questions.
Yeah. Okay, let's take them.
Great. Thanks, Claudia. So when using this platform, do we need to have the narrative written down as well?
It may help you to know what you want to type in the open boxes, but it will vary depending on whether you're in a confidential place. You know what I mean? Like, you got to think about where you're meeting with the person that you're helping. Is it in an open space? Is it in a waiting room? I think that the more prepared people are to get to this point to like answer the questions and get the documents sent, that's, you want to do that as quickly and as confidentially as possible. So it just depends on, how have you been communicating? Because by the time that you sit down to do this, you probably have had a couple conversations and you may be ready to have that written down or not. The one warning or thing to think about is that we don't really encourage copy and paste. So if you have it on a text document or on another Microsoft Word document or something, not to copy and paste into the open box, because that could bring a character that we don't see because we're not looking at the XML source code, but the computer may see it, and it could glitch up the transmission. So if you're going to have something that's already pre-written, try to type it in.
And
Just
then
want
I
to
think,
add, I just wanted to add one other thing also. Don't worry too much about, in terms of making sure that you've checked off every what it would appear, every type of crime listed in the document, or what appears to be, in terms of that long list. Just do the best you can. But remember, of course, that this is just a petition. There's going to be hearings. So, when you get to the offenses committed, if you leave some off, the judge who'll be presiding over the hearing will, make a determination about exactly what offenses they think were committed. So just, do your best there, but do not get overwhelmed by wondering whether you have to look each of these up in the penal law and be exactly right about the elements, because it is not an issue. And also one other thing, remember that this is just about the first ex parte appearance. It is not about the continuation of virtual hearings in the family court after the first appearance. That, of course, again, everything is different today, but again, that's between the litigants and the judge as they go forward.
so the next question is there a notarized verification section at the end?
Not if you are submitting this with a request for a remote hearing. Then the affirmation is all that you check off.
And then Lisa, this question might be for you. I would love to know how often remote hearings get granted.
Well, I think probably there are a lot of advocates on the call who could speak to this. I'm guessing that, under the current circumstances, everything has been, there have been, I don't even know how many remote hearings. Everything's been remote in different judicial districts. Things have been remote for a long time. So, initially, when this came out and there was much more reluctance about remote hearings, and I think judges were much more reluctant, but of course that's all gone by the wayside during COVID. So I don't think that's as much of an issue anymore. People feel free to chime in and tell me if that's incorrect.
We get, because I do want to let people know, we do have technical support. If something comes up that seems to be a technical issue, I'm trying to show the help button, but my screen is too crowded right now. But it's at the bottom of the system. Through the help button, we do get people that messages, thank you, I just got a call from the judge to do the hearing. Like, this is incredible. Like, people are, it depends on the court, of course, and but we do get people that let us know, just thanking us. And I just got called to go in today, or to do, it happened the same day, like super fast from when they submitted. But I don't know, probably other advocates have an impression. I'm missing some answer here, and I don't remember which one it is.
So the other question is, once you e-file a petition and then go back in and edit, does it get refiled as an amended petition automatically?
I think that, I don't know, Lisa, you may know, but I recall that when we built this in 2012, we talked a lot about that. I think that once it's been submitted once, we have a check where we see, hey, there has been already an e-filing. Are you sure you want to submit? Because we look at a number of days. So there may be a check on the e-filing piece. I don't know if it's something that gets looked at by the clerks, and then they contact the person if there is already the petition file. And I don't know the process in New York, but if there's already an answer, if I know that it's exported, but if it's already been served or anything like that.
So normally on the court side, this is Amelia, I can just kind of chime in with my experience. What happens is if you're looking for a same-day remote hearing, the clerks are generally processing your petition submissions pretty quickly. But if you submit one and then you realize right away you want to make a change, you can submit it again and then maybe just let the court know to take your later submission, because they do see a timestamp when they're reviewing what's come over from the electronic petition interview. So they'll be able to tell which one is the later one, which is your corrected one. But if you don't make it in time, then normally what happens in a lot of courts is at the first appearance, the judge might direct that that the litigant submit an amended petition, or sometimes the clerk might just handle it case by case without having to do that. So that could vary a little bit, but if you notice something that you wanted to include that you missed, just give the court a heads up and they may say, oh, just send it over again because we didn't process it yet.
Is there an option for keeping petitioner's address confidential?
I believe there is. There should be an indicator on the petitioner information page where you let us know if that information is confidential. And you also can request an address confidentiality application as well.
Okay, just looking over some of the questions here. It appears as though the remote request part may be specific to each respective county. In Nassau County, the questions do not ask about telephone contact.
Okay, we can take a look at that one. There are some customizations that can be made at the court's request per location. So I think what we would probably want to direct that advocate to do is reach out to your court contact, and then they can reach out to me here at the Division of Technology to work on implementing their changes.
No, wait, were you saying that the petition that you look at looks different than the one that we are presenting today?
Based on the pull down, I think that what they're saying is if they don't, because I had chosen Bronx and Bronx offers this the telephone thing, but if there's a county that they pick that doesn't offer it, it won't be listed.
Right, not all of them have all of those options.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
If you add the client's phone number in the narrative section, will that information be visible to the offender at any time?
They would get a copy of the petition. So yes, that would be available.
Okay. For the initial appearance section, is it just for the elderly or disability, or are we checking it off when requesting a remote hearing?
For the remote hearings, sorry, go ahead, Lisa.
Right, for the remote hearings, you're just going to, it's for anybody who has a reason to request a remote hearing. So it's anybody who's physically challenged, anytime the person has a specific hardship about appearing in court, for instance, they have childcare issues, or in a rural area, transportation issues. Obviously, there's COVID-related issues that exist now. So no, it's not just for the person who's homebound or elderly.
Can you attach supporting documentation to the petition?
No, not at this time. But what you can do is if you're doing a remote hearing, at the appearance itself, there will be the ability to submit either PDFs, or you could show a picture, or whatever other supporting documentation you have. You are able to share that at the electronic virtual appearance.
Great. Just 1 second while we review other questions coming in.
I'm happy to hear people are putting questions because it's good to cover them here because probably other people have the same question.
I think we may have already covered this one, but is there a way to opt to keep the petitioner's number confidential like you would with their address?
For the phone number, I believe you can include that request in here as well. Maybe Lisa, since there's some extra questions in that area, we can provide
Yes.
kind of a one-pager refresher on the details of that process.
Right, we'll
Yeah,
go through that tomorrow or the next day, and then we can update everybody.
Okay, great.
Thanks.
yeah, and I don't know. I wanted to see, though my Word is not opening right now, if in the Word the telephone number is put in, because it could be that that's just given in the cover letter to the clerk, and it doesn't go into the petition. I don't know if it's a mandatory field or not for the courts.
It's not a mandatory field on the promulgated petition form. I know that.
So
You
it could be that it doesn't even get put into the petition that the other party gets.
No, I mean, the only way it would be in there is if you put it in any of the free text fields.
Yeah, so this is what is created. So
Let's see. Is there a way to run reports by or for an agency, for example, petitions filed by month, by county, etc.? And then the other question is, there seems to be some glitches when the program interfaces with UCMS. Who should be notified?
I can take a look at that one. This is Amelia. If you want to email me some details, I'd be happy to take a look.
yeah, and just on what assembles is that the phone number is put in the cover to the clerk, but it's not included in the petition. So the opposing party doesn't get the phone number of the person that's asking to be protected.
Great. Let's see. Should the incidents be described in first person or in third person?
The incidents should be described in first person.
Okay. Will slides be made available? Yes. So if you go to the handout section, you'll be able to download a copy of the slide deck covering what we covered today during the live demo. And then we will also post a copy of the slides to probono.net /ny/family. Let's see. Lisa or Amelia, is there anything else that you would want to cover in terms of what Claudia showed us? Any other background or information you would like to add?
Oh, there's an information sheet that's generated with this, and that information sheet is actually available in multiple languages. So I just wanted to add that.
That's great. Thank you, Lisa. And I would just add too that any new advocate agency that's coming on board with using this process, there's a chance it might be new for the court too. So as part of our setup process, we always help the court. We always encourage that we do some testing sessions just to make sure everything's running smoothly. So the first time round trip it's being used, it's not the time where you're live in front of a judge. We'll definitely make sure everybody's comfortable using it from both ends before it's, turned on.
Yeah, and I wanted to flag here that we do have this help capacity. This is mostly for technical help. If you want to know how to contact the clerk or what the process is for your county and all of that, best place to do is go back to the probono.net/New York Family Justice page when we started. Go there and get the list of your county contact and talk to them, because we don't know that in the assembling engine. But if you're having a technical issue where the form is not assembling or something like that, or you cannot remember your password, or you something is going on with the actual creation of the document, you can email us through here and we will try to help you troubleshoot it. Now, because we have like over 5,800 forms in 40 states, we don't know who you are and what you're using on our support desk, because we really take confidentiality seriously. So when you send us a report, tell us, I'm in New York, I'm using the DV petition, I'm on this sort of browser, because browser behavior will sometimes changes how this whole thing behaves. And my recommendation is, if you're doing clinics, or if you're even if you're just doing one interview, that you are not on a hotspot, that you're not on something like this, or on a cell phone where your bars are going up and down, because this system requires a really strong connection that's constant. And if the bars are going up and down, it could get in the middle of your working session. As a user, you're not gonna know that something happened, and you may end up not being able to create the document. And we won't know unless we go and spend 20 hours trying to find that one session and see what happened with that account. Because there's like 3,000 people on all the time kind of working on these things. So my recommendation is that whenever you're gonna work with groups, or you're gonna work to do one of these, is that you make sure you're in a strong connection that doesn't have variability at the local level. And then my only other one is, don't click the back button on the browser, because that one really does discombobulate things. So just use the navigation that is in the system. And save often and as you go, because if they say you're on a hotspot like this and your bars go down, your data will be there up to the point where you save. So maybe you lose one screen, or maybe you lose two screens, but you don't lose everything else. So just try to work preferably on a laptop that has Microsoft Word, and try to save as you go. And and then if you get stuck or something happens, contact us and we'll try to work with you to see what happened.
And we do have a contact information slide, which I can share in a minute.
Okay, let me.
I know we have other questions that we haven't gotten to, but let's see if we can get to a few more. Will other family offense petitions be available this way in the future?
Right now, we only have the original family offense petition available, but in the future, we could definitely see what happens as far as adding more. I know right now there aren't any firm plans to do that, but we're always looking to expand and to improve upon things that are working well, which this process is really, it's being used a lot across the courts, and it's been very helpful, like Lisa said, before COVID and now with virtual appearances becoming so much more of a prevalent thing in the family courts. This is certainly here to stay. So we'll keep that in mind as we go forward.
And just a reminder to everybody, it's very important that you are also signed up for the remote option if in fact you want your clients to be able to have a remote hearing, as opposed to having to walk into the family court for the hearing. So if you are not sure if you have the remote option, please email me or Amelia, so that we can check it out. Amelia, most people do have it now, right?
Yes, and for new agencies that we're adding, we're trying to just kind of build that in as we go. So if you were added recently, it's likely you have it. But again, we can check that and very easily change it for you if you're missing it.
Is this program available for all counties in New York State?
Yes.
Great. I think if we didn't cover your question, we've included some contact email addresses here. So for any questions about court approval to use the program, you can email Lisa, and then we can add, Amelia, I know that you said that you could answer some questions. We can modify this slide deck to include your email as well if you think that's appropriate.
Sure, that's fine.
Great. And then so if you have any questions related to using the Law Help Interactive form, which is the section that Claudia covered, please email support@lawhelpinteractive.org, and we'll have someone assist you with any issues you're having through that form. If you have any issues with signing up for the part that I covered through probono.net ny/family, please email support@probono.net. And then for any questions about how the Law Help Interactive program works in general, you can email Claudia Johnson, who is the program manager. And with that said, I think we're at time. So I want to thank Claudia again and Lisa and Amelia for your time today. And as a reminder, we will be posting recording to this of this webinar to the Pro Bono Net site. Please remember to complete the quick webinar survey if you would like to, and we appreciate you joining us today. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.